It was so nice, I just had to purchase it twice. Hello there, I'm Kristen, also known as Voolenvine, here on my YouTube channel, where I chat about what I'm knitting, what I'm sewing, what I'm making, or whatever other crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down this week. And as always, I'm so happy that you're here hanging out with me, talking about all those things. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. You might notice a slight change of scenery. At the beginning of the pandemic, my husband started working from home, and that kind of cramped my recording style because usually I would record here in my craft room. And so, to make things a lot more manageable and, because when he's around, I just clam up and I just can't be myself in front of the camera. I know, it's really weird and I need to get over that. But to make my life just a little bit easier, I decided to move my recording studio down into my dye dungeon, as I lovingly call it. It's where I dye yarn for my hand-dyed yarn company, Voolenvine Yarns. So yeah, that worked out really well, with a couple of hiccups here and there because the furnace was there and it was just dark. And yeah, I really miss recording in my craft studio because you get to see my yarn, and yeah, this is where all the magic happens. Hopefully this should work out. I don't know why it wouldn't, but yeah, it's a lot more light and airy in here, and we don't have to deal with the furnace going off every now and then. So anyway, very, very happy to be back. I hope you guys enjoy the new setup. No real announcements to speak of this week other than I got my first COVID vaccination. Yay! I'm not gonna waffle on too much about that, but to give you a little update, yes, a couple weeks ago, New York State announced that people 30 and older could get the vaccination. So as soon as my doctor texted, patients about it, I hopped online, made the appointment. They went like hotcakes, I'm not gonna lie, but I was lucky to get an appointment this past Tuesday. But I went in, got the shot, it was super quick and fast, and I'm happy to report I didn't have any side effects. I may have felt a little dizzy and fatigued afterwards, but other than that, it was completely fine. My arm's a little sore still, but honestly, I'm doing well. So yeah, I get my second vaccine in 3 weeks, and yeah, hopefully one step closer to a little bit of normalcy, because yeah, I know, like many, we're all just so sick of this, and I really just want to be able to hug my friends and family again, hang out like the good old days, and get on with things. Yeah, so I'm sure I'm not the only one feeling this way, but I hope wherever you are in the world, you're doing well, staying safe, taking care of yourself, and able to get yourself a vaccine in the near future. But and if you have already, yay, congrats. I get so excited when I see people posting photos of themselves getting the vaccination. It's just, I know some people get annoyed by it, but I like it. I like seeing it, and because it's a happy thing, I think. It's like one step closer to being back to normal. So anyway, again, I'm not going to waffle on about this, but I just wanted to give you guys a little update as far as, yeah, what's happening in my life. So there's that. But other than that, no huge announcements to speak of. So let's get into what I've been making this week. But first, just a quick word from my lovely and amazing sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community platform where you can learn just about anything. And I have to say, it's a very handy tool when it comes to running my hand-dyed yarn company, Voolenvine Yarns. They have a plethora of classes for small businesses, e-commerce, branding, marketing, you name it. And I'm not gonna lie, it's helped keep me sane during this pandemic because I was able to hone my photography skills, dabble in new to me crafts like quilting. I particularly love any class by Tabitha Park. She teaches everything from self-portraits, flat lays, product photography, and even dramatic pet portraits. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, click on the link in the description box below and you can try Skillshare for 2 weeks absolutely free on yours truly. You're welcome, and thank you, Skillshare. As for works in progress, I have not made much progress on my current Mood Shawl, a pattern by Leslie Ann Robinson, but a dent has been made. I believe I worked 2 brioche sections since I last shared it with you, but yeah, it's just been a busy week here, and I've just been trying to put a couple of rows in the morning and a little after work. It's slow going, but at the same time, I'm just enjoying it so much. Yeah, and if you're new to brioche or haven't tried it yet, and it seems complicated, you guys, once you get the knack of it, it's just so relaxing, so fun, and, you know, very, very intuitive. You know, with, as I mentioned last time, you know, with the exception of the beginning and the ends of each row, you have to pay attention to, you know, your stitch counts and whatnot, but in the middle of it, the meat of every row, it's just incredibly intuitive. And, you know, I can watch YouTube videos or Netflix, or, you know, I don't have to be totally focused. With the exception, I want to say, of these, there are like 2 little rows in here for a feather and fan stitch where I do have to stop what I'm doing and just making sure that my stitch count is on point, but that's just 2 quick rows, and, you know, it's nothing really. The yarn that I'm using is Voolenvine yarns, my hand-dyed yarn company, in 3 different colorways. The first being Rosewater, which is this very light, delicate pink over here, and then it blends into History Bound, which is this taupey, warm, speckled color over here. And then it transfers into Blood Moon, which is a very rusty, burnt umber, blood orange red, I want to say. Yeah, so I really, really love the way these colors are playing together. I don't know, it's very on trend at the moment, I think. I've seen this color combination where they mix like this you know, blood orange red, or like a copper or burnt umber, if you want to call it, you know, with naturals or neutrals. For some reason, I feel inclined to decorate my entire house in this color palette, but I know because it is a trend, it is going to go away at some point, and then I'm going to regret dearly painting my craft room burnt umber. When I do find myself infatuated with trendy color palettes and whatnot, shawls and small projects and fashion are the way to, I feel like, get that out of my system, so to speak, because they're not permanent things like wall paint. But anyway, I digress. That's the only knitting project that I have to share with you this week, but I do have a stash acquisition to share with you. It's been over a year since I've stepped foot in my favorite local yarn shop, LYS, Brooklyn General. Seriously, this is like hands down my favorite yarn shop in the whole wide world. But yes, my wonderful friend Tanya texted me one day and she goes, "Hey, I heard that Brooklyn General is allowing people inside the shops now." You know, they recently just announced that, you know, they are allowing customers inside, but at a limited capacity. So I think, you know, when we showed up, they were only allowing 5 people within the shop, including the people working there. So yeah, we showed up, we were able to get in right away, but they were very busy. You know, I was happy to see that. They had people waiting outside to come in, but it was like a steady flow of just people coming in and out. And we spent about maybe 30 minutes in there, just looking around, and, you know, it was so great. It was just so wonderful just to be back inside there, smelling the yarn fumes. I got to catch up with Carlene and Emily, who worked there. You know, needless to say, some yarn followed me home. Last week I shared my Birkin FO, which, by the way, thank you so much to everybody for all the nice comments you left. Yeah, it was just, it's easily one of my favorite makes to date. It's just, it came together so well. But yes, I did knit that sweater out of Biche Bouche, which is a wonderful, beautiful, beautiful yarn. It's 100% lamb's wool, and it's yarn that I picked up from the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and it just knit up so beautifully. Did I mention it was beautiful? It was so nice, I just had to purchase it twice. So I was excited that they had Biche Bouche in stock at Brooklyn General. Here's the label up close. It's Biche Bouche Le Petit Lamb's Wool in the beige colorway. And yeah, it's just this really beautiful, creamy, like peachy beige color, I want to say. And it's really, it has like a nice depth to it, and I don't know, it really spoke to me. And then this one right here, which is their dark gray brown. It always has like green undertones to it, but I don't know, it was beautiful. So, you know, it had to come home with me. Yeah, so I purchased 3 of the gray brown, and there's about there's 50 grams per skein, 248 meters or 270 yards. So I think 3 of these is enough for the main body of a sweater, and then the 1 skein for the color work. And the more I look at these skeins, for some reason, you know, I have yet to knit a Jennifer Steingast sweater. All of her designs are absolutely beautiful. I have a couple in my Ravelry queue, but yeah, for some reason, I think these might want to become a bright feather pullover. It's one of her patterns that has stuck out to me the most, and yeah, I've just been waiting for the right yarn to come along, and cast it on. So yeah, here we are. Yes, my friends, the quilting saga continues. Last week I shared a depression block quilt that I was making using a GoMe fabric cutter. It was a gift from my wonderful mother-in-law, and I've just been having so much fun using it. Not sponsored at all. I've just, you know, been waxing poetic about it ever since I've started using it. But I also shared a quilt project or a kit that I had purchased a while back that I fell in love with and I wanted to start. But you know, I kind of wanted a little bit more quilting practice under my belt, so to speak. So I held off on it, but I pulled the layer cake kit that I purchased out of hibernation, and once I started seeing all the fabrics and everything, I got very, very excited. Maybe it's because I'm impatient or I wanted to strike while the quilting iron was hot. Pun totally not intended. I could not resist and I started this project. So yeah, I know I'm going to finish the depression block quilt. I got very excited, guys. So I'm a little bit all over the place this week with quilting, but I got one row started. So here it is. And this pattern, I should mention, is the Tribute Quilt, a pattern by Bonnie Christine. It's a free pattern that she designed for Art Gallery fabric, which is, by the way, the fabric that I am using to make this quilt. It's the exact fabric that the pattern calls for, and it's the Her and History collection, again by Art Gallery Fabrics, and it calls for two layer cakes. I learned that a layer cake, a wonderful commenter, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting who you are, but they left a comment down below letting me know that a layer cake is a pack of 10 by 10 inch squares, and a charm pack is a kit of 5 by 5 inch squares. Mystery solved. So yeah, these are the 10 by 10 inch squares in question, and they're just these beautiful, beautiful prints that, yeah, again, the orange, the reds, I don't know what's wrong with me, guys. But there is some mauve in here too, actually, believe it or not. There's some mauve clouds in here. So yeah, I've got my bases covered. But so far I'm having so much fun with these. I already made a couple of mistakes because I did not read the direction. I thought I read all the directions. I missed the part where they're like, yeah, before you turn these into triangles, you have to subdivide the 10 inch squares into 5 by 5 inch squares. So basically, I'm taking the layer cake and converting it into a charm pack. Yeah, so anyway, you live and you learn. Thankfully, I only sacrificed 2 squares when I made that mistake, so whether or not I need to hunt down some more fabric for that, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But so far, yeah, I've just been plugging away at making these hourglass, I've just been plugging away at making all these hourglass squares. And guys, this pattern is stupid easy because, yeah, that's all I'm doing. Just making these little hourglass squares using different fabric combinations. But I will say, I unfortunately cannot use the GoMe fabric cutter for this project because, again, as I mentioned, the die cutter is not efficient when it comes to cutting out fabric. You're left with all these little scrappy pieces. So if I were to use it for this project, I would have to get more fabric to compensate. So, you know, again, the GoMe fabric cutter is amazing and quick, but not so great for quilting kits, if that makes any sense. So yeah, so that is where I am with this project. And again, this is quickly turning into a weekend project. You know, Dennis has some work to do over the weekend, so I'm just here in my craft room sewing away. I've got my audiobook on, I've got a podcast on. Yeah, so this has just been very, very relaxing and intuitive. You know, after a couple of scores, you just go on autopilot. And the other thing that I got invested in was a pressing mat. It's just a little, my cat's sitting on it right now, so I'm not gonna go up and get it, but I'll insert some B-roll here. It's just a 13 inch by 13 inch wool pressing mat, and you know, I also got a tiny little iron, and it's just been a total game changer when it comes to just ironing out all my little quilting pieces, as opposed to me having to get up, go to my ironing board and use a clunky iron to... Anyway, yeah, it's been great. And that is all she wrote when it comes to creative projects this week. I am gonna skip over the blather segment this week just because I feel like I kind of touched on what's happening in my life at the beginning of the episode. I've been roller skating. If you don't follow me already on Instagram, I've been posting to my Instagram stories, you know, just little snippets of me practicing doing spins and twirls and falling, well, not falling on my butt. I kind of cut those parts out, but I should include it. I should include some of that too, so you can see the reality of it all. But anyway, I digress. I am gonna end things there. Thank you so much as always for hanging out with me. If you're new here and haven't already, please feel free to like and subscribe down below. I put out a video for your viewing pleasure every week. And until the next video, happy knitting, happy sewing, happy making. Bye.